The Florida Gators 2026 recruiting class has grown to 3, and here's what they're getting in it.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And I will say this now. I am recording this pretty late on Monday evening. Had to record it at a certain time. Had some family stuff tonight, so had to do that. So if there's a commit from the time that I record this to the time this comes out, then we'll talk about it tomorrow. But we are going to take one segment for each commit in this 2026 class. So we can make all the jokes that we want about the Florida Gators only having 3 commits at this time. But no other Locked On show can do this. No other Locked On show can say, hey, we're going to do one segment per player in this 2026 recruiting class, where it's actually a scouting report of each player. That's what we're doing. If you're part of the Insider program, you got this yesterday. If you're not part of the Insider program and you want to be part of the Insider program, the link is in the description below, or you can go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators. And we're going to start with Will Griffin. I did this in order of where they rank on the composite. So Will Griffin, quarterback, is the first player on that composite. He's the highest rated player. He is a 4-star everywhere for the Florida Gators in this 2026 recruiting class. And I don't think anybody's really surprised at this because I do think that this is a general sentiment with him. But, I mean, this kid has a big arm, right? And I will say this. One thing that wasn't super evident on his film was stepping into the throw and driving the ball downfield. Now, we saw him drive the ball at certain points on film, but you don't see him consistently step into a throw and drive it downfield. And part of that is because he spent, similar to watching DJ Lagway's film, he spent so much time scrambling, extending plays with his legs, which he does a fantastic job of. And that does kind of tell me, because that was also a thing that we talked about with Jaden Rashada in high school, was that a lot of times when you're watching him, you watch him run, extend plays with his legs, and then make the throw. And I do think that that's becoming a legitimate part of just recruiting quarterbacks and scouting quarterbacks. That's the thing that I've added to my NFL draft scouting reports, where it used to be, oh, that's a great bonus. Now it's a requirement. You need to be able to extend plays with your legs and then extend and create at that point, whether you're running or whether you're extending it with your legs and then throwing the ball, whatever it may be, you need to be able to do that now. That is no longer a suggestion. That is a requirement to play quarterback at a high level. And so that's part of what you're going to see with pretty much anybody that I think Billy Napier scouts at this point at quarterback or recruits at quarterback. They're going to be able to extend plays with their legs. And then usually he's looking for guys that will throw the ball after that, not really looking for someone who's going to be overly reliant on their legs to create plays there. So with Will Griffin, again, has a big arm, not a ton of just letting it rip deep, but I will say great touch over top for a high school quarterback, especially. I think that you can look at the way he throws the ball and say, hey, if you're going to do that in-game in college right now, I'm cool with that. I'm not saying that it would be an elite level, but I'm looking at the way that he throws the ball over top. Great touch over top. And I think that is something that Florida's looking for, especially when you talk about all the speed that they've added. They're looking to take the top off the defense there. Like I mentioned, great mobility to extend plays. And as a passer, again, that's the thing that I think we'll see with Billy Napier recruited quarterbacks is that he's looking for guys that will extend plays and then throw the ball. I think he can make people miss as a rusher, which you see in the film, And I will say this as well, because I'm not trying to just be like, oh, everything's perfect, everything's positive. I'm just trying to add as much context with my honest opinion of his film. he will not have this kind of athletic advantage over SEC defenders. It's not Arch Manning level when Arch Manning was playing high school football and it was like, all right, he's playing against nobodies. But it is evident that quite a few of the players on his film, not going to be SEC defenders, not going to be Power 4 defenders. There's going to be a bunch of Group of 5 guys there that he played against there. And so he won't have as much of an athletic advantage against SEC defenders. He will still be athletic enough to extend plays with his legs. He will still be athletic enough to pick up yards with his legs. It's just not going to be like you watch the film and just go and watch Will Griffin's film and you will see the ridiculous plays I'm talking about that you'll look at and you go, all right, well, one, don't want you juking or trucking a ton as a quarterback for Billy Napier's offense. He's not going to want you to do that. He's going to want you to slide, get down, and live to fight another down. And two, you're not going to be able to do that as much against the SEC defenders. You're not going to be able to do that much against Georgia defenders. It's not going to happen. It's just not the way that it works. I will say there were some times on film, it looked like he hesitated a little bit. Not a ton. Still made the throws, but hesitated a little bit. I don't think he has that arrogance as a passer yet. And I will also say that all the plays where he hesitated or it seemed like he hesitated were from in the pocket. And so I think that maybe that's something that just with comfort as a quarterback, with more comfort as a quarterback, and I don't just mean, more experience. I mean, playing behind a line and feeling confident behind that line, I think with that, you'll see more of those arrogant throws because I do think he has the arm to be arrogant. And I mean, look, even when he's throwing on the run, you'll see him put the ball in harm's way a little bit. I'm fine with it. I mean, Ben Johnson, the new head coach of the Chicago Bears, obviously used to be the offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions, one of the most analytically minded coaches on the planet right now. And you can say what you want about analytics. There are things I disagree with Billy and how the program is run. There are things I disagree with everything. It doesn't matter. We're talking about how they're running. And they say that they want to be as analytically oriented as possible, right? They want to be very analytically oriented. Analytics, modern day analytics, are telling you that it's better to throw a pick than take a sack. I can't explain the reasoning. That's what I'm still learning, and many people in media are still trying to learn. But basically, it comes down to if you're taking a sack, you're burning time and you're less likely to convert. And if you throw a pick, get a stop, get the ball back, and you get more opportunities at that point instead of just delaying the inevitable with an interception or with a sack that eventually leads to you punting the ball. Part of it is also the context of the pick. If I'm throwing a pick because I'm throwing a deep shot while scrambling, basically an arm punt, right? And then we're really talking about, well, we're not delaying the inevitable with the time of possession stuff. Ideally, though, throw the ball away, right? That would be one thing to see, which isn't on the film, but not usually on high school film. Hell, not usually on early college film. That's another thing. I will say that when you watch Will Griffin's film, you will see a couple of things that you genuinely are looking for. And they're on there. And they're on that film because people are looking for it, right? You see a couple of hole shots against cover 2, which that hole shot is in cover 2. There's the corner playing underneath in the flat. And then there's a safety playing way over top. And that intermediate area is kind of no man's land, right? No one's there. And so you'll often see defenses have someone running to the flat, so the corner has to commit, and the outside receiver running straight, or a slot receiver running the fade in the outside corner, and the outside receivers staying underneath to the flat. And that means that the corner needs to either play the flat or try to take the man running deep before the safety can come down. And that's the whole shot. Hitting that part, the guy between the corner and the safety before the safety can come over, that's your whole shot. You see Will Griffin hit that. Another thing you see Will Griffin hit is the far hash. If I'm on the left hash, or if you're watching on TV from the broadcast angle, if I'm on the bottom of the screen and I throw it to the top of the field on a line, I don't mean just getting it there. I mean getting it there on a line. You see that? Will Griffin does that. The nice 8 to 12 yards, if you could do that, you can make, generally the rule is if you can throw that far hash, you can make just about any throw that's in a playbook. And Will Griffin can do that. I don't think he's a perfect prospect. I think he's very far from a perfect prospect, but I do think he's a player that has all of the physical tools that you look at and you say, all right, if we can develop you, if we can develop your mental game, if we can develop the mechanics and fix those a little bit, we're looking at the guy. And so I think Will Griffin has a long way to go, but I do think he has the physical tools that teams and Billy Napier especially are looking for at quarterback. And so I see the promise. I see the vision. It needs work, but I see the vision and there's no pressure to play early. So he's going to have that time. We're going to talk about G'Nivre Carr. I found out the pronunciation. There we go. Thank you to who was it? I don't want to say that. Looks like YouTube looks like they're telling me your government name, and so I don't want to say your government name on this. But thank you to the person that commented yesterday to say that it's pronounced G'Nivre Carr. So we are going to talk about G'Nivre Carr next on Locked On Gators. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all of my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's pretty easy to lose track, right? That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And like I mentioned earlier, we're doing scouting reports this whole show. We're scouting this 2026 recruiting class. Let me know if you like these. We've never done these before, where it's just me giving my opinion of players and explaining the thought behind it and the what the meaning behind them. Really, we've never done that before. So let me know if you like it. If you're part of the Insider program, you saw these yesterday. You get things ahead of time with the Insider program. We're talking about G'Nivre Carr next. He is the next Florida Gators player, next highest ranked Florida Gators commit right now. 3-star on On3 and 24/7, 4-star on ESPN and Rivals. And I think it was ESPN has him like 15th-ish nationally as an interior offensive lineman. I think that's where he belongs. You look at his 2024 film, and you will see a lot of G'Nivre Carr playing left and right tackle for IMG. He plays there for most of the film. He is flip-flopping between left and right tackle. Then towards the end of the film, you see his guard film. I don't know if they split it up intentionally to say, hey, look at his tackle film, then guard film, or if that was just the timeline of how things went. But he's going to play guard for Florida, okay? Size-wise, film-wise, like he's a guard for Florida. That's not a bad thing at all, by the way. I know that there's generally... I feel like we've gotten to a point where people are really devaluing guards, which is interesting. This is a thing that you see in the NFL as well, where they really devalue guards. And a few years ago, yeah, but we've now reached a point where interior pass rush is at a premium. Caleb Banks. Interior pass rush is at a premium. And so to counter that, interior pass protection needs to be at a premium. Again, this is football is no longer, oh yeah, the edge rushers are rushing the passer, the interior defensive linemen are just eating blocks so that the edge rushers get one-on-ones. This is everyone is going after the quarterback at all times. Okay? We spoke last week. I was covering the New York Giants training camp, the New York Giants OTAs in person, and Greg Van Roten, offensive lineman, was talking about, working in a phone booth or not. And he's like, these guys aren't big slugs anymore, right? Like they're talented pass rushers. And so I do think that people need to stop with the whole, oh, but he's a guard, I don't care thing. Tackle is still more valuable, but guard is increasing in value because of the importance of interior pass rush. And so G'Nivre Carr is someone that I do think can be really good, specifically in pass protection. His arms look long. I don't know what the measurements are for his arm length. I don't know if we got that. I'll see if I can pull it up while I'm talking about him. But you look at his arm length, and it's kind of nuts. Like they look really long for a high school player that, again, probably isn't fully done growing yet at this point. So the arm length is there. Great to see. Of course, you see a guy that has that kind of just that kind of length is awesome. I do think that his hand speed needs to pick up a little bit. I thought he was, I don't want to say like underwhelming or anything because I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was, oh yeah, we want that in the SEC. We're ready for that to work in the SEC. I do think that he needs some work there, which again, not a bad thing at all. His athleticism is something that you see when he's running out in space. You will watch him, like watch his film, and you see him running out in space, and it's like, all right, I get it. Like I can understand why they're liking him, why they like what they see, because he runs out in space. There's one play pretty early in his 2024 film where he is just, for lack of better term, hauling ass. Like that's what he's doing. He's just moving. And you watch him and you go, all right, well, he's running, and because he passes by the D line, and you go, all right, well, he's running. Maybe he's going to the linebackers, and then he runs by the linebacker. And then you look and you go, all right, well, there's another deeper player. I don't know if it was a safety or a linebacker based on the position, but you watch him and you go, all right, well, maybe he's going for that guy. And it just bypasses him. And then by the time you get to the end of the play, he is all the way like 20, 30 yards downfield, just hunting this DB, just hunting him deep downfield. And like you watch it and it's like, all right, well, like this dude's just a beast. Like watching him play, watching him move, awesome to see. So the athleticism is there. You see him oftentimes, he'll hit one guy and pass off and go hunt another, and it works. Again, he's athletic enough to do that. There's one part of his film. First off, there's actually two parts of his film where one of them, he's playing left tackle. Guy runs around the edge and puts a little too much dip on his chip, and G'Nivre Carr just whack and just smacks him. Guy goes down, and Jari Carr kind of just like, I don't want to say he showboated, but like he pushes him and he kind of looks for a second, and like he was probably like, oh damn, I did that. And there's another time where he's at right tackle, blocks to his left, puts a linebacker on the ground, and then you kind of just see him do the whole like, when someone dunks on someone in the NBA, like when someone gets posted and they do that kind of flex, just like the triceps popping out, little flex, that kind of, he just does that after body bagging a linebacker. So it's great to see. Like, I love the attitude. I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, don't showboat, move downfield and block. And it's like, there are certain moments where I'm cool with it. I'm fine with you just pummeling someone and moving on. And I'm fine with you pummeling someone and letting them know you pummel them, especially when the play is going to the opposite side. Like if you're away from the play and you're probably not going to get down there anyway, I'm cool with it. He is a to the whistle, through the whistle blocker. Like he's going no matter what, even if he's winning this battle, he's just keeping moving, keeping the legs moving. I will say this. Sometimes he leans a bit too much at the top. And on film, you don't see it a ton because, again, these we're not seeing full game film. So we're not so much seeing the bad stuff. A lot of this is us trying to look at what they're showing us is the good plays. And by they, I'm saying there because I don't know, if it's him, family, coach, whoever it is. They're putting the film out that they are viewing as the highlights. And we're looking for the negatives there. Like with Will Griffin, you see some great plays, but it's like, oh, that's you shouldn't do that kind of thing. With Jari Carr, most of it looks pretty damn good, honestly. And there are some things, like I said, hand quickness needs to get a little bit quicker or needs to speed up a little bit. One thing that he does is sometimes he just leans a bit too much at the top. And that's the thing that even when you're watching NFL draft film, like when you're watching guys who have been in college for 3 to 5 years and they're like, all right, well, I'm ready to go professional. You still see them lean a bit too much at the top. And you don't want to lean too much. You're going to throw yourself off balance. You're going to lose that base, which is huge in pass protection especially. You're going to lose that, and you don't want to do that, of course. You don't want to lose that balance. You don't want to lose that base. You don't want to lose your power, lose your pop. You don't want to lose any of that. So I do think that that's one thing that needs to clean up. But again, when you watch any high school offensive lineman, like it's usually not pretty. you're usually looking for the guys that are athletic enough to operate and are strong enough to operate. And then you go, okay, does that translate for us to the next level? And if the answer is yes, then you go, all right, then I want him playing for me. And I think G'Nivre Carr does exactly that. We're going to talk about Jamir Perez, the last player today, when we get back with Locked On Gators. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. To wrap up today's episode of Locked On Gators, we are talking about Jamir Perez, Florida Gators defensive line commit, which, by the way, Will Griffin committed on June 1st in 2024. And G'Nivre Carr committed June 1st, 2025. So I will say that, and in between that was Jamir Perez, who's a 3-star on every site out of Ohio. He's the only out-of-state player committed right now. And let's start with this. They're not playing pretty football up there in Ohio, all right? Like they're not as flashy as Florida. They're not as pass happy as Florida. Like they're running the football and they're trying to pummel people and they're trying to be more physical than you. So this ain't pretty football to begin with. Jamir Perez doubled often, sometimes tripled as a defensive lineman, okay? So offenses are paying attention to him. They're targeting him. And I'm not talking about in the run game. I'm talking about in the pass game. They are doubling him and sometimes tripling him. In the run game, yeah, a bunch of people are going to get doubled at different times. It's oftentimes a scheme. So I'm not even going to be like, oh, yeah, he's so dominant. They're doubling him all the time and tripling him. But I am going to say that against the pass, they do that a lot on film. Holds his own, doesn't lose ground, which for me is huge when I'm looking at a defensive lineman that is getting doubled or sometimes tripled. I'm like, all right, well, are you getting doubled and tripled and losing ground, getting pushed back? Or are you getting doubled and tripled, and even if you're not making a play, you're causing a stalemate? Because for me, that's a win for the defense. If I've got one helmet causing a stalemate against two helmets, that benefits me. And so I think that he's winning those. I do think that whether he's single, double, triple, hands need to get a bit more active when he's taking on blockers. It seems kind of like he's like, yeah, like I know I can hold my ground and just fight those and eat the blocks, and that's it. Hands could get a bit more active in terms of trying to just disrupt things. Pad level needs to get lower, which another thing where you're going to watch high school, college, hell, NFL film. And that's like the thing. With the NFL draft, we have jokes about how every defensive lineman, every scouting report you read is going to say pad level could get more consistent. Pad level could get better. Pad level could improve. They're always going to say pad level, right? Recognize that these are giant human beings, and it's not always that easy to get that low and drive. Jamir Perez, relentless pursuit of the football at all times. Okay, you watch his film, and similar to, I don't think that he's the same player here, so I'm not saying that. Don't get that confused, but similar to with Jeremiah McLeod in the 2025 class, where I would talk about Jeremiah McLeod, and I'm like, look, he's just hustle. He's just getting after it at all times. Jamir Perez is getting after it at all times. He is just hustle to the bustle. He's moving and fighting. Again, I think his hands need to get more active and need to be improved, but whether or not, like he's moving, he's fighting. I don't think he's doing a great job at some points, again, with the hands, need to get more active, but he's moving, he's fighting. Like even if he's double teamed, he's moving his feet. He's moving his feet, he's fighting. So I think that that's a big plus when watching Jamir Perez. Relentless pursuit of the football at all times. Does a great job of, let's say he's getting blocked by one person. He's reading what the running back is doing, where the running back's going, and he does it. It's on film multiple times where he just reaches out one arm while being blocked. He just reaches out, grabs the running back, and he's like, all right, we're both going now. And he'll make the tackle there. And seeing that a few times is great to see. Looks like he has pretty long arms, but I mean, his film's a little bit further out, so tough to tell sometimes. But watching him engage, and while engaged, grab a defender or grab a running back, grab a ball carrier, and make the stop is huge. Love to see that. As a pass rusher, doesn't have much of a bag, right? Very, very small bag. It's a shopping bag right now. But again, a lot of high school players genuinely, a lot of high school players just get by as a pass rusher with either being quicker, I'll say quicker, not faster, quicker than their matchup, B, stronger than their matchup, C, just relentlessly pursuing the ball. Like that's it. It's that quick first step that just as an edge rusher just gets you by the Dante Fowler Juniors. It's just being stronger than everybody. Happens all the time. All the time, too, you see people ask the question of, okay, well, is he really that good or is he just beating up lesser competition because he's stronger than them? Jamir Perez, one move. It's a bull rush. It's a pretty good bull rush, and he's got it going for him. But he's going to need to deepen that bag. But again, if you go into college with even one move that you can hang your hat on and say, hey, like that's what I've done. You could watch the film and you could see me do the move. And you could see it work. That's all you need. Like if you have that, you're already a bit ahead of the curve. Because a lot of defensive line coaches, a lot of DCs are going to go out and they're going to tell you, hey, we want you to do these moves and execute these moves. And unless you have, it's similar to, we'll say it's akin to basketball, right? Where in basketball, you'll have coaches that are analytically oriented, and they go, hey, around the rim twos, catch and shoot threes. But if you're really good at middies, you could shoot middies. A lot of DCs and defensive line coaches, they'll go, hey, we want you to do these moves, but if you're really good at this one, you can do this one. You have permission to do it. But that's it. And so Jamir, but also pretty much everybody's going to say, yeah, we want a bull rush from the interior. You collapse the pocket, you get things going. Everybody wants it. So Jamir Perez, pretty strong bull rush. In terms of where he plays positionally, on his film, you see him line up from the zero tech, which if I'm the center, head up with the center, face-to-face with the center, that's the zero. You see him move out gradually all the way to the 4. The 4 is head up on the offensive tackle on either side. Doesn't matter. But head up on the offensive tackle. His film's at like a bit of an angle, so he might even play a little bit of the 5, which is outside the tackle of the shoulder, or outside the shoulder of the tackle, like the Tyreek Sapp. But it's just tough to see from that angle if that's really where he's lined up or not. But potentially 0 to 5 tech, which is huge for positional versatility, which is something that Florida's defensive recruiting has really prioritized on that line. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free. We have this in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow to talk more Florida Gators. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.